And just like that, technology fails. Hi, everybody. I'm Angela from Grab Your Bags Travel. So after seeing that video, really wants to get on a ship and go see Alaska. You know I do. So tonight, I apologize for all the technical glitches we're having. But tonight I'm joined by Ted Knight from Princess Cruises. Hi, Ted. How are you?
Good evening, Angela. Good evening, everybody.
So I asked Ted to join us because I'd like to share with you this amazing cruise tour that I'm hosting. As you can tell from the video where the destination is going to be, Alaska. So on July 6th, 2022, we're going to be taking the 11-day Denali cruise tour, which will board on the Grand Princess. And Ted will be talking all about it tonight. So it is a 7-day sailing, and when we disembark, we will continue our journey for 4 more days on land in the heart of Alaska. So, Ted, you want to take it away from here?
I'm sorry, pardon me, Angela, what's that?
You want to take it away now?
Well, I sure will. So we Angela and I had been practicing connecting here and trying to get everything going and all. And as soon as the time rolls around, everything stops working. So we were able to save a map here. So I want to kind of introduce you to my favorite place in the world. Another time, for those of you that go with Angela, we'll have another meeting as we get closer to the event. We can talk about as we get closer what's going to happen when you arrive at the pier, the port, kind of do a dock party for you to kind of go over all the details and everything, specifics. Next year as we get closer to departure. But I want to introduce you to my favorite place in the world tonight. We're going to do it without the PowerPoints, and that's Alaska. And if you think about it, it's an amazing place. It's 2,400 miles long by 1,400 miles wide. If you put it in the continental United States, it would go from Charleston, South Carolina to Minneapolis, St. Paul to Long Beach, California. That is the size of the state of Alaska. And yet, here, I live in Central Florida. I live around the Mouse House in Orlando. Here in Central Florida, more people live in one county in Central Florida than the entire state of Alaska. It's a land of 10,000 rivers and over 3 million lakes. It's a vast amount of land, and it's important to understand Alaska in order to plan the ultimate Alaska vacation. In the summertime, Alaska has 3 distinct seasons to it, and they're entirely different. Springtime is mid-May to mid-June in Alaska. You have snow-capped mountains, flowers are blooming, trees are blossoming, animals are moving. It's the driest time to be in Alaska. It's a beautiful time to be up there. Best chance to see the mountain. The challenge is not all the wildlife have come down to where you can find them. So springtime is mid-May, mid-June, drier, good chance to see the rock, but you kind of lose some of the wildlife. Peak season is from the last week of June to the last week of August, which is when we're looking at this with Angela. So that's peak season. It's not because the weather's great, because the weather's going to be horrible. It's going to rain. It's going to rain a lot. In fact, in Ketchikan, we measure rain in feet, not in inches. And we average over 12 feet of rain a year during the summertime, right? But Alaska changes dramatically in the summertime. As the salmon come to the rivers, all the predators come to the rivers. So there's a very easy saying. When people ask me, when's the best time to go to Alaska? For that, you need to ask yourself what you want to experience. Springtime is dry, best chance to see the mountain. Peak season, all the wildlife becomes in abundance because all their food comes to the mouth of the rivers. Find the food and you'll find the wildlife. It's as simple as that. Finding the food will find you the wildlife. Remember the size of the land we're talking about here, 2,400 miles long by 1,400 miles wide. So it's going to rain. Be prepared for rain. Rainproof yourself and go watch an amazing a bounty of wildlife in that time of year. The last season in summer is late August, early September. Weather calms down a little bit. So, those are your 3 seasons. At the time that we're looking at for this group is early July. It will be the peak of salmon season, right? Which means all the predators, all the bears, all the eagles, everything will be coming down to the mouth of the rivers in search of the salmon. Remember that phrase, find the food and you'll find the wildlife. So tonight we're going to talk about, eventually we'll do this again when we can figure out what's wrong with where the little gremlins are not working in here. And I can show you actual pictures. I'm very lucky because I've been to Alaska 59 times. I live in Central Florida, so it's a long flight, but I've been up there. Normally I go up there multiple times a year, and I absolutely love it. Tonight we're going to focus on this trip. So we would start your journey in Vancouver. So you would fly into Vancouver, preferably at least the day before your cruise. There's an old saying in our business, never cross an ocean, never cross a continent the day you're supposed to board the ship, because if that flight delays or cancels, you're in so much trouble. So at least a day early. Vancouver's a beautiful town, neat town. You'll want to stay in downtown Vancouver. That's kind of the heart and soul. If you would like to do Victoria and Bouchard Gardens, you could do that. That requires a 2-day stay. Go in 2 days early. You fly into Vancouver. The next day, you take a motor coach transfer down to Victoria, Bouchard Gardens, the downtown Victoria, and then back to your hotel for that night, where you then board your ship the following day. So there's all kind of ways can be customized for your experience in Vancouver if you like, but always go in at least a day early. As you start your very first night out on the cruise, you're going to be on the Inside Passage. You're going to have mountains on the left, mountains on the right, mountains dead ahead of you, and mountains behind you. You're going to be in serene water. In fact, on a 7-day cruise, you'll be in protected water basically 6 out of the 7 days. You'll come up the Inside Passage. You'll have mountains surrounding you. You'll have the most incredible sunsets to the west. It won't set till about 11 o'clock at night, but hey, if you're still awake, at least you'll see all the colors of the rainbow. As you come up the Inside Passage, your first port of call is going to be Ketchikan. And Ketchikan sits right smack dab in the middle of a rainforest. So guess what it's going to do? It's going to rain, and it's going to rain a lot. So just be prepared for it. Have rain gear. You can go to any sporting goods store and get decent rain gear. All right. Ketchikan provides decent shopping, Fishing, the time that you're going to be there is going to be an abundance of wildlife. There's multiple tours at that time of year that go back along the rivers where the black bears are. And I'm talking 400 and 500 pound black bears, where they're dining there, they're chasing the salmon in the rivers at that time. There's a bunch of things you can do, or what I like to do in Ketchikan, what I prefer to do is I get off the ship and I go walking. It's a cute little town. There's a lot of history here, and they've been here for thousands of years, and some of the history was you either belong to the Eagle clan or the Raven clan, and eagles could only date and marry a raven. Ravens can only date and marry eagles. And as you walk through the community, you see above the doors, the front doors, the sketching of whether it's an eagle clan or a raven clan. It's just a lot of history here, a lot of history. Totem Pole Heritage Center. There's just a lot of things that you can walk around and do in Ketchikan very inexpensively. And at the time that you're going to be there, July, the river itself should be stocked full of salmon. So it's a really good time to be there. So shopping, fishing, good place to fish, and a good place to see bears. Okay, that's Ketchikan. You're going to head up the Inside Passage. You're going to stop in Juneau. Juneau's the state capital. And other than Hawaii, the only state capital is not accessible by land. It sits on an island, about 65 miles long. Interesting places, Juneau. It's state capital. So you have basically the roads go around the island. The secret to Juneau is it gives you access to the outback areas of Alaska. So remember, Ketchikan was famous for shopping, fishing, and bears. Okay. Juneau gives you access to some of the most amazing wildlife you could possibly imagine on a number of different shore excursions. My favorite shore excursion that I do every year is called the Whale and Wildlife Cruise, and it goes back into an area called Auk Bay, A-U-K-E, Auk Bay. Google it. Google is our friend. So when you look at Auk Bay, you'll learn pretty quick that it is a major wildlife area of Alaska. Why is that? Well, remember what I said at the beginning. Find the food and you'll find the wildlife. So you kind of see the color of my shirt. It's kind of a royal blue. When you fly over Alaska and you look down in the water, most of the water is like my shirt. It's a royal blue because it's very deep. Most of these channels were created thousands of years ago by receding glaciers. When you fly over Auk Bay in July and August, the bay is actually green. The reason it's green is because it has one of the world's largest food blooms. So that means everything that floats, flies, or swims comes into Auk Bay to eat. So when the fish and the krill, everything come into Auk Bay, everything up to and including orcas come into Auk Bay to eat also. So that's why July is such a major wildlife area in Alaska, because as their food comes, all the predators come. Auk Bay will give you an excellent opportunity to see whales. In fact, they guarantee you whales or you get a percentage of your money back. Now, I do this trip every time let me put it this way. Every time I've been to Alaska, either on land or sea, I have done this excursion. That's how important I think it is. Getting the opportunity to get back into Auk Bay to see the whales and wildlife. And for the last few years, I've seen a pot of orcas back there. Is just an exhilarating experience. It's really nice. There's a number of different vessels that operate this. The ones that I recommend are the big twin-engine boats. They hold a couple hundred people. They're wheelchair friendly, so you can roll on and roll off. What's great about these vessels is you can walk up top and stand in this massive open area and take all the pictures of the wildlife you want. As you look out, Dada, over the horizon, you'll see these little small metal boats, and those aren't very good because, one thing, they're very small and they're rocking and weaving. Two is they hold 6 to 8 people, and nobody can stand at the back of those boats at the same time. So everybody walks out, takes a picture, has to rotate. So these people continue to rotate. Me, I stand on top of this vessel that I like to use, and I'm looking down, taking pictures. Unfortunately, I can't share them with you tonight, but we will share eventually. So, I like Juneau because it gives you access. Ketchikan was shopping, fishing, and bears. Juneau is access to the outback areas of Alaska. You have Auk Bay, incredible whale life area. You can take a helicopter and land on a glacier. You can walk across ice that was created when Christ walked the earth over 2,000 years ago. It's an incredible experience, and it can be done here inside of Juneau. So Juneau's an interesting place. There's gold, silver, and art. You won't find any deals, especially in the month of July. But if you ever wanted your name carved into a whale's jaw, this is probably where you can have it done. You know, I don't suggest going to Alaska to shop. I suggest going to Alaska to see the frontier, the wildlife, and experience Alaska that we've heard so much about. So there is, if you are going to shop, there is a little bar in downtown Juneau called the Red Dog Saloon. It is absolutely the most famous bar in all of Alaska. A lot of history at Red Dog Saloon. So go have a burger in there sometime during the day as you're waiting between your different shore excursions. So Juneau, state capital, access to Auk Bay, helicopter rides. You can take a tram ride up to the top of Mount Roberts where you can look down all over Juneau. There's a really cool shore excursion that takes you to the gardens of Juneau. And it's interesting. What they did is they buried all these trees upside down and they put flowers on the top of them, and you climb up this mountain you're at the top there in Juneau, up near the top of Mount Roberts, and you look down over the airport and all. Just really cool experience. So there's a lot of things to do in Juneau. All right, get out, go see it. Also in Juneau, there is Mendenhall Glacier. There is an actual glacier within the city limits of Juneau. So many of your tours will include, like, let's say, if you wanted to do Auk Bay, Whale and Wildlife, and Mendenhall, you could do that. The only thing is with that, we have to see what condition Mendenhall's in, because she's receded so much and she's flooded so much that a lot of the areas that I'm used to travel on and be able to get around have been flooded out. So, but you can still kayak there. There's still a good place to kayak. And in some cases, depending on the time of year and how the ice is going, you can actually climb on the glacier. So we'll see if that's available for next year. So that's Juneau, state capital. You continue up the Inside Passage. Your next stop is Skagway. All right. Now, Skagway, you're finally connected to land, because Ketchikan and Juneau are islands. Skagway, we're connected. There's a highway that goes into the Yukon. Skagway is a very small community. During winter season, maybe 400 people live there. During summer season, about 8,000 people live there. So, because this is access to land. So there's a lot of tours that go in and out of Skagway that go into the Yukon. One of my favorite trips is the White Pass Railroad. It's a narrow gauge railroad that goes up the mountain, and they have different trips. They have a 4-hour trip, which is really kind of cool. They have a 6-hour, they have an 8-hour, they even have a 12-hour that goes on back into the Yukon where you have to have your passport. So a lot of history here in Skagway. Skagway is a very small community, very small. You can walk from one end to the other in under an hour. In fact, I used to laugh because one of the neatest places we like to walk to, if you're in downtown Skagway, is the cemetery. Now, to understand the cemetery, a lot of history here, there's a lot of history in Skagway. It was gateway to the goldfields. Back in the 1890s, it was the most populated city in Alaska. All right. So, you know, there's a lot of stories here. There was a lot of shams going on up here, up in Skagway. And when you go to the cemetery, you see a lot of history and everything there. But don't listen to the locals, because the locals, you'll ask them, how far is the cemetery? It's about a mile. Don't believe them. About 2 miles, 2.5 miles. I walked it last year in new shoes, about killed me. But what's neat about the cemetery, as you keep walking up that mountain, there is a beautiful, gorgeous waterfall that nobody knows about. And it's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. July, it'll be in full bloom as she comes rolling down the mountainside. So, you know, White Pass Railroad, a little bit of shopping. My wife and I do. If we buy knickknacks in Skagway, there's a post office right in downtown Skagway. We just go right over to the post office and mail all that stuff home to ourselves. Pretty simple stuff. You know, works out great. So that's Skagway, small community, White Pass Railroad, access to the Yukon. There's a lot of things. So we typically rent motorcycles and head over into the Yukon. Is what we normally do in Skagway. But it's a neat community. A lot of history. Back in the 1890s, the largest city in all of Alaska. Now from there, this is where Princess changes compared to our competitors, and you're going to really enjoy this. Your next day, you're going to actually spend on one of the most magical parts of Alaska, and that's called Glacier Bay. And to understand Glacier Bay, think of your hand, okay? Now, remember when I said with glaciers, well, we talk about wildlife, okay? And the closest you get to a glacier, when you look at all the pictures of a glacier, you see all that ice and everything. Well, what happens is that ice brings the rock and soot and debris down with it from the mountains. So all that soot and debris displaces oxygen. There's no oxygen in that water, which means there's no life in that water. So the closer you get to a glacier, the less life you're going to have in the water. Okay. So many cruise lines, well, in fact, all cruise lines know you want to see a glacier, but not all glacier experiences are the same. Most people go into places called Icy Strait or Malaspina or some of these others. Our predominant glacier on the Gulf of Alaska cruises is Glacier Bay. And you can kind of see it there right in the center of the picture there, it's Glacier Bay. Right? Now, to understand the bay, the government only allows 2 ships a day in Glacier Bay. Think of your hand as Glacier Bay. You come into the bay, and everything that floats, flies, or swims eats in this bay. This is where mom brings her babies. This is the most protected waterway in all of Alaska today because of the amount of wildlife that comes into Glacier Bay. You come to the back of the bay, you go into the first finger, and there's your first 500-foot wall of ice. You come out of that finger into the second finger, there's your second 500-foot wall of ice. You sail by the third coming out, and you come back out that 65-mile bay. So your food and wildlife is out here. Your glacier experience is up here. And what we do is we take the ships into the glacier fingers and we rotate it ever so slowly so everybody sitting on the privacy of their balcony can relax, and we will bring you the wonders of Alaska to your very feet. You know, what we do is we get some wool blankets, sit out there. My wife takes the cover off the bed, and we just sit out there and pick up the phone and call room service. You know, it's just an incredible way to spend the day. And it's an all-day affair, basically, in Glacier Bay. National Park rangers come on board the ship. They do talks, lectures, and discussions. In fact, what's really cool with Princess, what again separates us a little bit, is every day of your cruise, you're going to have talks, discussions. We want to teach you. We want to educate you. We want to engage you. We want you to understand the history and the culture of Alaska. And that's what we've won a lot of awards for, is the total immersion into the Alaska experience. So when we're in Juneau, Libby Riddles comes on board the ship. Libby's a 2-time winner of the, matter of fact, Libby was the first woman to win the Iditarod race. So we have people that come on that do all these kind of things. We even bring puppies into the piazza, let you play with the puppies, which is interesting because you think there'd be a bunch of kids down there, but they're not. They're all adults. So every day we have engagement programs to educate you and engage you into the culture of Alaska. And while we're in port, we have all these different entertainers that come on the ship too. So it's really immersive. It really is. We won a number of awards for these programs. We kind of partnered about 10 years ago with the Discovery Channel, and we just have a lot of things for you to relax and enjoy. So that's Glacier Bay. Then you're going to come out of Glacier Bay. You're going to cross over the bay into Prince William Sound College Fjord, and you're going to have your second day of glaciers. And this is what makes Princess a little different from our competitors. We give you 2 glaciers on these cruises. And on the northbound cruise tour, you have Glacier Bay, and you're going to have Prince William Sound College Fjord, which is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Going to come into the pier, and basically you've got your cruises. You're in port for the number of days. You continue on, then you've got Glacier Bay, then you've got your day in Prince William Sound College Fjord, and then you're over in the Whittier. Here's where things get really interesting, okay? Because while you're on the ship, we're going to ask you what luggage you would like to take to the mountains and what luggage you would like us to transfer for you up to Fairbanks. So if you have a couple suitcases and you want to check one suitcase to Fairbanks, you will find it in your room once you get to Fairbanks. Okay, so you don't have to worry about anything. We will take care of everything for you. You're going to, get off the ship in Whittier. I wish the PowerPoint was working. You're going to get off the ship in Whittier. You're going to walk through a building, and there's your train. Your train's going to take you up. Now let me see. You got rail from Whittier to Talkeetna. So that's going to take, depending on how dry the track is, that's going to be anywhere from a 6 to an 8 hour transfer from the pier to Talkeetna. Okay, the wetter it is, the more they have to slow down. But it's a beautiful part of Alaska. It's the most beautiful part of Alaska on rail. So you're literally going to get off the ship. We're going to take care of everything. Whatever luggage you want to bring to the mountains, we'll get that. Whatever luggage you want to connect to Fairbanks, we'll get that. Right? You don't have to worry about a thing. You're going to get off the ship, get on the train, and go direct to the mountains. It's a beautiful way to spend the morning as you come out of the sea area. Into Talkeetna, then you transfer out to the McKinley Princess Lodge. McKinley Princess Lodge sits at, if you think, you kind of, maybe you can see on the map, right? Let's say this is the mountain. Let's say this part of my hand right here is the mountain. McKinley Princess Lodge is down here. We'll pretend that's the mountain. This has a straight shot at the mountain. All right, you can sit back here and look up. You're at 65 miles from the base and look up 20,310 feet. She's actually shrunk a little bit. All right, so here you can do that. When you go to Denali, which is at the northern end of the park, we have another lodge. That's the Denali Princess Lodge, largest lodge in Alaska. Sits on a river, and this is where you go back into the park for the tours. So the southern side, you have a straight shot at the mountain, and you're out in all of its glory. Northern part of Alaska, northern part of the park, rather, you're going to go up to Denali. You're going to coach basically from McKinley to Denali. It's going to be about 2 hours. You're going to have your afternoon at leisure. A lot of things to do. We can go over this next year. Typically what I do is there's an area up there called Black Bear. You can Google it. I'm sorry, excuse me, not Black Bear, Black Diamond. Black Diamond is an area where they offer 4x4s and horseback riding, and they have a really ugly golf course, but it's basically a hole in the middle of a bunch of meadows. But the scenery is spectacular. I have shoot off more moose on that golf course than anything. So you have a lot of time. You can go whitewater rafting. They give you dry suits, and then they try their darndest to get you wet in them. So there's a lot of things. Remember, it won't get dark up here till late at night. So I went a couple of summers ago. My 4-hour whitewater rafting didn't even leave the hotel till 7 o'clock at night. So just to kind of give you an idea, what we were looking at here. Remember, June 21st is the equinox. So June 21st is the longest day of the year. You're looking at early July, so you will not have lost much daylight at the end of the day up there. So, it'll be quite the experience. McKinley for the night, Denali for the night. We were going to do the Denali Park tour, natural history tour. We'll go back into the park. There's a 4-hour, there's a 6-hour, there's an 8-hour, and there's a 12-hour. 4 and 6 are fine, perfectly fine. They're on a school bus, so you have to kind of manage understanding. That's the only vehicle they allow back in the park, and they run on natural gas. If you're really intent on getting back into the park, there's Wonder Lake back there. It's very famous. It's in a lot of movies and a lot of books and everything. But if you want to do Wonder Lake, take a helicopter. Your body, because it's an unimproved road, and your kidneys are going to kill you. And it's the best way to get back to Wonder Lake. It really is. So you're talking about, now think about this. So you're talking about a national park that's almost the size of the state of Georgia. It's really important you understand the massive scale of land that we're talking about when we talk about Alaska. So from there, you're going to basically coach up to Fairbanks, and you're going to do one of my absolute favorite things in Fairbanks, and that's the riverboat discovery. I me, it's such a shame it's all the way up in Fairbanks because it is such an incredible trip. I love the Riverboat Discovery, excuse me, up in Fairbanks. It's a 4-hour trip back in time. It's on a real steamboat, paddle wheel. They teach you a lot about the people, the culture, and the history of this part of Alaska. You've got bush pilots taking off right next to the vessel. You go to a rebuilt Athabascan village where they show you how they lived centuries, thousands of years ago. It's really very informative, highly recommended. Riverboat Discovery is absolutely one of my favorite things in all of Alaska. So when people ask me what I like to do, basically the number one thing for me is the whale and wildlife search in Juneau. Number two is kind of a tie between White Pass Railroad and Skagway. And depending on where the fish are and what's going on in Ketchikan, if I can go see the bears, that's what I like to do. All right. And then number three is I love the Riverboat Discovery. It's just way up in Fairbanks. So you're going to be there. So you get the chance to experience it. So as we get further along, Angela and I have a chance to figure out this, why things aren't working the way that they're supposed to. We'll be able to share more pictures and everything. I would be happy to do a pre-cruise party with you, presentation to go over certain things. When we get more specific, talk about your air. Just try and make sure you go into Vancouver the day before. Very important. Best place to stay is in downtown Vancouver. It's the heart and soul of Vancouver. All right. Understand you're going to be there at the absolute best time of year, July, early to mid-August, as Auk Bay really starts to ramp up. All the wildlife comes to Auk Bay and the surrounding rivers. So that should put the salmon should be at their peak down in Ketchikan, which means fishing will be at its peak down in Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. All right, and then from there, really going to enjoy your train trip. You got so quickly. You got Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, Glacier Bay, Prince William Sound, College Fjord. Off the ship, walk through the building, on the train, direct to the mountains. We'll take care of all your luggage. We'll take care of everything for you. All right. So you can either drag 16 pieces of luggage with you to the mountains, or you can tell us, Ted, take these 2 pieces to Fairbanks. I'll take this one to the mountain. Whatever you want to do, we can accommodate. Your luggage will be up there in Fairbanks. Once you get to Fairbanks, you got the Riverboat Discovery, and then depending on what you want to do from there, basically you'll start your journey home. Okay? So that's Alaska in a 30-minute nutshell. Unfortunately, without photographs. So hopefully everybody's still awake, Angela. I hope.
That was awesome. Thank you. It's actually, I've seen you do this presentation a couple of times now, and I just can't wait to go, because you just bring such, I think, a great picture of what Alaska is and the experience of what it will be. So can I just ask you to share a little bit about the medallions that Princess offers, a little bit about the ship experience too?
Yes, thank you. All right. So this little wonderful thing right here is a medallion. All right. And this is going to change the industry as we know it. All right. So no longer will you be, first and foremost, the safety and concern of passengers and crew, of course, are at the very top of the deal. We're going to have very strict protocols to go by, including probably restricted numbers and so forth. The medallion is going to set Princess apart from our competitors. When you go on a medallion ship, which by the time we sail again this summer, all of our ships will have the medallion. You're going to get this little medallion. Will be sent to you about 2 weeks before your cruise. On the medallion will have your name, ship, and sailing date. As you approach the pier in Vancouver, everything should be working fine by then. There will be facial recognition. You no longer have to stand in line to check in. Now, Vancouver, because it's Vancouver, may do things their own way, but we don't have to do this according to the government. But never You know, Vancouver walks to the beat of their own drummer. Let me just put it that way. They kind of do some strange things up there sometimes. But in Florida, for example, we have facial recognition, and you walk through this area, you show your ID, and you continue on. You don't have to check in. It's automatic. You walk past the funny-looking guys taking pictures. You walk onto the ship. Your medallion registers that you've walked onto the ship. Don't have to do anything. You walk up to your door. You stand next to your door. The medallion will automatically unlock your door. Now, typically when my wife and I cruise, I'm the mule. So she gives me all the bags to carry and all the crap and boxes and all this kind of stuff. So my arms are full. So I stand in front of the door unlocks, I push the doorknob down and push it open, right? We go inside the room, throw all the junk on the bed. Then I reach out my little trusty phone and I tell the medallion that I would like a beer and a Diet Coke delivered to us by the pool in 30 minutes. There's a little format there. You just fill out beer, Diet Coke, by the pool, 30 minutes. So we throw all of our stuff in, make a pit stop, head up, grab our burgers or whatever, sit down by the pool. And about 30 minutes later, my phone dings. And there's a picture of a guy carrying our drinks over to us. So he's looking for my medallion. He's pinging the medallion, right? His medallion is pinging my medallion, and he brings us the drinks right to our table. Haven't had to do anything. Haven't had to stand in line, right? So we can do it with the magic of a phone. We have ambassadors roaming around the ship that will do it for you, for those of us that are, mechanically challenged. If you don't have a teenager to show you how to do certain things, we'll have people on the ship that will. You can do it in the comfort of your own room. Your TV is interactive, so you can tell the TV, hey, TV, I want a drink, I want a Diet Coke and a beer. So typically what happens is they put the beer in front of me and the Diet Coke in front of my wife, and then I switch them because I'm the Diet Coke fanatic and she's the beer fanatic. So we sit there. We've got our food has been delivered to us, which I've used my medallion to order. I haven't had to wait in line, right? So I've ordered my food. I've ordered my drink. We're sitting by the pool, and we're relaxing. Get up, go through. Let's say I want to do, I don't know. Maybe I would like to make a dinner reservation. I can do it through the medallion. This dining is going to be changing because of what the CDC is going to require us to do. So we're just not quite there to announce it yet. But the bottom line is the medallion is going to give you the access to whatever you want. So it's a game changer. When you get off the ship, you don't have to cling off. The medallion reads it. It's proximity, and it's unique to you. So nobody can copy it. Nobody can do anything. This is just for you. If you lose it, we replace it. Right? So it is just a tremendous program. You can do everything. You can sit by the pool. Adults can keep up with the kids. So if you have a group and y'all would like to tie in together, you can keep up with each other using the medallion. Ted's in the casino again. Okay, you can do that. Well, Ted can opt out of the program if he wants to, so that his wife doesn't know that he's in the casino again, right? But children can never opt out of the program. Mom and dad always know where the kids are. So, and this came in handy last summer when we were on a cruise, and our neighbors were looking for their teenager, didn't show up for dinner. So we just went in he was technically challenged. So we went out to a kiosk, signed into his account, and found out his teenager was in the teen room playing games. So dad went up, got him out of the teen room, brought him down for dinner, right? So it's a game changer. As you walk off the ship, the medallion will reflect you being off. You come back on, it'll reflect you being on. You don't have to wait in line. Everything can be done remotely using the magic of either your own phone or your TV in your room. Or, like I said, we'll have ambassadors across the ship. So it was, if you've ever been to Disney and you used a magic band, this was created by the same wizards that created the magic band. Created this, with the difference being you don't have to touch anything. It's a proximity, with a couple of exceptions. One exception is if you walk through The shops, well, we don't want everything to charge to your account as you walk by something. So that you do have to touch it too in order to charge it. I mean, obviously, you don't want to walk through and get $1,000 on there. And two, on when you gamble, we want you to touch it to make sure that we have it right. And that brings up a point. You can take your iPad. I can't believe how popular this is. You can take your iPad and you can sit by the pool and you can pay roulette. There's a lot of gambling things you can do. There's a lot of free games for the kids, and there's a lot of not so free games for us adults.
It's very social distance friendly.
I'm sorry?
And it's very social distance friendly, and it was.
It is. It is.
COVID.
It is. It's going to be a game changer because as we move forward and we have better understanding what the COVID requirements are going to be, the medallion is going to allow people to order dinner, drinks, whatever they want, delivered easily. Cabin, balcony, pool, back deck, whatever. You know, the days of having to do a certain dining to get a certain food will be gone. It's just going to allow you more flexibility.
Right. And the feature, as a person who likes to travel with other people in groups, the feature I'm really excited to use is the chat.
Yeah.
Because that is like so monumental for me. You know, gone are the days leaving it on the door, telling you, or make sure you meet us here at 3. And you can just message each other now and just say.
Yeah. You absolutely, and this is all free, by the way. There's no cost for this.
Right.
You know, so there's no cost. Everybody gets a medallion. Everybody gets the medallion service, right? The only extra cost on the ship is if you want to connect to the internet. Then we have to have an internet package. And like the current sale that we have going on now, it includes the internet. So, you know, the medallion itself and the services it renders is free. So you don't have to.
At that point with the Wi-Fi, because as part of the group package, we have the Princess Plus included.
So you're also.
So that includes the premium drink package, right?
Right.
The Wi-Fi.
And what's important about the premium drink package, Angela, it includes gratuities. So when you look at some of these other cruise line, I got to giggle about some of these things because they include a drink package, but they don't include the gratuity, or they don't include the service fee, or they don't include the delivery fee. You know, ours is inclusive, right? So you don't pay for anything, right?
Right. So we have the premium package, the Wi-Fi, and the prepaid gratuities are also included. Those 3 things.
All that adds up to about $70 a day of value.
Yeah, amazing. And you're having even a better sale because Princess likes to give us little special sales at the beginning of the year. So from now until March 31st, you're also throwing in 1 night for special dining.
1 night of special dining. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so at one of the restaurants, we'll sign because everybody gets one. But it's just something extra that we're giving, and depend on the category, a potential upgrade. Now, let me see, what ship are you on?
Grand.
Okay, cool. So these are the largest cabins, to my knowledge, at sea right now on Princess. Mm-hmm. So the Grand class ships, we had the Grand, the Star, the Golden, and then we had, and they were all 100,000 plus tons of ships. Okay, 112, 116,000. And then the Coral and the Island Princess were the 2 mid-sized ships. The cabins on all those vessels are the same size. So the Coral and the Island are the same cabins that are on the Grand. They're great cabins, laid out exceptionally well, and they have big balconies. That's the biggest thing. You know, the newer ships have more public areas, more public options, and a larger horizon court and things like that. But the cabins are smaller, and the balconies are smaller. The Grand size ships, specifically the Grand, larger cabins, great public rooms, not as many choices as we have on the Regal, the Royal, and the new vessels. But this is, when we sail to Alaska, we always sail on the Coral or the Island. This is the first year that the Grand size ship has been in Alaska. We would have gone on it had we been able to. So, you'll like it. I love the ship. I really do. Perfect size, and the cabins are great. The level to remember on the Grand is the Carib deck. Carib deck cabins. Their balconies are twice the length on the Carib deck of the other balconies. So
awesome, terrific. So, I know people might be thinking, oh, it's over a year away, we have plenty of time. The only thing I wanted to stress right now is, like, especially with the concern of Alaska closing again, unfortunately, this year, what would you think is important to book? Like, what would be
and I'll tell you why. Now, how can I put this? I went on furlough for a few months, and then they brought me back because I have either the largest or one of the two largest Alaska producing territories in the country. And I'm the one they used to send all over the country to teach Alaska. I know Alaska. I understand Alaska, and I understand the draw of Alaska. So we now have 2 years of full ships and full lodges that have to cram into 2022. And in 2022, we're going from 4 ships across the Gulf to 3 ships across the Gulf. So we have 2 years of pent-up demand coming into 2022, 1 less ship on the itinerary. So our cruise tours for 2022 are at the highest, bookings are at the highest that they've ever been. I honestly expect most of the southbound cruise tours will be sold out within 2 months. Northbounds will be sold out by the end of the summer. So it's when we look at what's going on in the world, and a lot of people chose to go to Alaska hoping in 2021 because of what was going on in Europe and the unsettling. So once Europe settles down, some people may gravitate back over to Europe. But Alaska has always been a strong seller. Every year it sells out by the end of January. Now we have 2 years worth of demand that we're driving into one summer, and we have 1 less ship on the itinerary. So I think now's a good time to go with all the specials that are out there. You have refundable deposits. You have guarantees that, if something goes wrong, money can come back. Cancel the day, the week before, get an FCC, future cruise credit, for a couple years. We're letting you cancel 30 days. So there's a lot of things going on to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. But for next summer, it would be important to get something on the books early.
Okay, and that's what I just wanted to stress, because like you just said, with everybody from last year, now this year, you're going to want to going next year.
Right. So, and this is a unique Princess. This is for everybody. Everybody who services Alaska has seen this. And, luckily with Princess, we own our transfer companies. We own the train cars. We own the motor coach companies. So we own the industry. Other companies don't. So they're having to rely on third-party operators, which hopefully will be around next summer. Mm-hmm. With us, we own the companies that we use. So we know we'll be there.
Now, I have a question. We have a question coming in. So somebody asked, how soon do we need to book excursions, and how do we do that?
Excursion, if you go in to Angela would give you your booking number. You can go into your booking number, add all your information, everything in there, your passport information, smile for the picture, all this kind of stuff. And at that time, you can see all the different shore excursions. I would probably wait a while for the shore excursions. Now, having said that, helicopters in Juneau will sell out early. There's only so many helicopters, and they only hold so many people, right? So the helicopters in Juneau will probably fill up fairly early. They hold 6 to 8 people, depending on the size. And let's say they got, 10 helicopters running. So that's 60 people every hour and a half. So it's going to go quickly. You got all these cruise lines wanting to use, we only use the best. So helicopters in Juneau will sell out early. For July, the more expensive something is, means the fewer people can do it. Okay? So that's kind of a way to look at it. There used to be a submarine up there, and the submarine was $1,000 a person. But it was the only submarine in Alaska. and it would take you some pretty cool places. Well, they only held 2 people, so the more expensive it is, the fewer the people can go. In July, sometimes there's some brown bears over in Haines, and there are shore excursions that leave out of Skagway to go over to Haines to try and find the brown bears. Brown bears are in a whole different class. We're talking black bears of the 300, 400, 500 pound range. Brown bears, we're talking 800, 900 pound range, right? So those will go quickly because while it's an expensive trip, they only hold so many people, right? So I don't, because when you make your shore excursion reservation, you have to pay for it. Helicopters, maybe White Pass for the early departures. And if there's any brown bear viewings, will be the biggest things that'll sell out early. On the land side, it's kind of a crapshoot right now. We almost going to have to wait and see how things go this summer so that we understand what vendors are going to be in business next summer, because this will be 2 summers in a row. So when we get inland up there and we have these suppliers, we have these fishing people, we have all these, we need to make sure they're going to be around and operating next year. So that may take a little bit longer, right? So.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any other questions, you can email me. There's my email address, Angela@GYB Travel. And I've been having on the screen the whole time that Earl, which is GYBTravel.com, Alaska Cruise Tour Adventure 2022. That'll give you all the itinerary and some pricing for group pricing. You always call to see what pricing is available right now. And actually, as Ted was saying, right now with the current promotion at Princess is open until only March 31st, so it's only for another week. It's pretty good pricing. So if you want to grab it, you should really grab it now, because once the ball starts rolling and everybody gets back, we don't know what it's going to be like. Fortunately, I do have some space on this, not only the cruise tour portion, but the cruise part only. So if some people feel 11 days is too much for your schedule or whatever, you can just enjoy the cruise portion. And like Ted said, what's so much unique of this particular cruise versus a round trip is that you get to see the double glaciers, where typically if it was a round trip, you wouldn't be going to that second glacier. So you're seeing a little bit more, and then you get to even go into Anchorage to fly out of if you choose not to go and join us for the next 4 days on land. So you have options, and you have options that we can all be together during the 7-day cruise portion either way.
And that'd be cool. Y'all could do group. You could do a group whale watching thing together. If you want to do a group whale watching, maybe we find a salmon bake in there someplace, for y'all to get together that way. The whole thing is, folks, you're only limited by the imagination. This is an incredible trip. Starting off with an incredible city of Vancouver. You think about it, you come up with ideas, you let Angela know what she doesn't know. She'll email me what I don't know. I'll go to the people who live there and find out. So we're here, and then we'll be here next year too, when we do like a little dock party and go over specifics for your trip.
That would be terrific. That would be terrific. And hopefully if technology would behave a little better for us.
I'm gonna go kick the little gremlins right now. Yes.
Between you and me, and they kick me out. So the beginning, but you know, it was wonderful, and I thank you so much for your time. And,
Thank you. I appreciate the interest in the offer. Y'all take care, and I hope to see you in Alaska next summer. Thank you.
thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you. Have any questions? Again, just email or call me, and I'll be happy to answer you. Hope to see you in Alaska. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.